All right, going over Thursday recap. Going over Thursday. Uh, so today was a super clean day. I just, ugh, I'm still learning this new continuation shit and like where to enter, and like where to be confident to enter. Um, but basically, what happened today? Like today should have been green 100%. Like there was plenty of opportunities for me to, you know, be green, but wasn't like that. Uh, but a lot of learning points today that will definitely be useful for the future. So just going into the day, right? Uh, from yeah, from today, right? Um, well, yesterday, right? We had a little bit of a dump, right? Now we closed below this low, and I believe we did the same thing on ES. And going into market open, we made equal lows of this low right here. So automatically, I saw this and I was like, damn, okay, we definitely gonna take those because when we drop down to a lower time frame, 15-minute time frame, you can see London High, the 8:30 news candle, which served as manipulation in in this point instead of manipulation. Instead of distribution, it manipulated the London highs, put it in SMT, and then we started seeing displacement to the downside. Um, Now NQ did sweep out this low, which is inside of this hourly imbalance, which might be a little sketchy to short from, but um, well, also ES did sweep this low too. Then we have an SMT at Friday's low, last week's Wednesday's lows, which is a pretty prominent draw on liquidity, right? So at this point, I'm gonna go to the 5 minute, right? We do have an SMT up here, but it served its purpose already, so it doesn't necessarily need to still hold. Because we already swept out the major draw on liquidity right here. Um, yeah, drawing that out, right? So going down onto, yeah, let's go back to the 5 minute on both of these. So NQ at this point dropped and hit a level of liquidity inside an hourly imbalance and swept this major sell side liquidity with an SMT. Also swept data lows. We have data highs, right? There's a lot saying that we could definitely still go up from here. We had this 5 minute gap up here, 5 minute gap up here on ES, and we retraced, came back down. So I was expecting kind of us to tap into that. Um, but then this is what I saw on a lower time frame, right? We failed to go higher. After this, right? After this downward displacement to the downside, honestly, since we swept it with just one leg, I was kind of seeing this as a manipulation or a stop pump before we go back up to start the buy model. Um, that did not happen. Basically, what we got right is we tapped into this. I believe it was a like 3 minute. Yeah, it was a 3 minute, 4 minute gap. Wasn't a 5 minute gap. At the time, I was glued to the 5 minute screen. I need to drop down to the 1 minute and see where we're actually tapping into these imbalances. So we tapped into this 1 minute and then we got crazy rejection, right? Now we put in this change in the state of delivery. With this continuation model basically that I've been trying to learn for like the past week. I'm still very new to it. Obviously I've seen it many times, but now I'm actually like focusing on it and where to take my entries. This is a good spot if you were to take an entry, retrace to change in the state of delivery. Or I'll go over this later, but if there's a change in the state, we don't come back to it, and then we inverse a gap. That is another good entry where you can take your trades. Um, those two are the main two I want to focus on for the future, um, because they seem to work pretty well. Uh, but also, if I want to take a lighter size trade, I can take, let's say we displace below this low, right? I could take a trade right there, expecting us to not retrace back up there, stop there, and wherever my target is down there. But yeah, so we made this change in the state. So I thought that I didn't see this actually, so I was glued in the 5 minute. But if I wasn't looking at this, I would think that we would at least go to these lows or this low, and then possibly get a change in the state back to the upside and start the buy model. Um, we did not get that. We instead just dumped straight down to a lower target because NQ also wanted to take this Friday low. But it was not clear yet because we had SMT. So honestly, I'm not too mad I missed this entry. If I was confident on the DOL, we didn't have an SMT at a key level at the lows. Um, this change in the state would be the entry, stop above the high, and then I would target this low, which would have been a 12 RR trade. Pretty insane. Or if I just wanted to enter off of this, right? Because I wasn't sure if he would come back to the change in the state. Put the entry there, right? Stop right there. A little bigger of a stop. Not anything crazy though. 6.5 R, So that's pretty good. And then we start dumping, right? And now that we continue down and displace below this low, a decent amount. I was expecting this low to be ran on NQ, right? So we get this retrace. Um, again, it's not a 5 minute gap. We get no, actually, I'm lying. There is 100% a 5 minute gap right here. So we do come up into a 5 minute gap right there. So we're in that 5 minute gap in this 1 minute imbalance, a voluminous imbalance too on both of these, right? Now, if you do look though, the draw is clear on NQ and draw really isn't clear because we already swept it on ES. So you really want to be taking it on NQ, preferably if you can. But if not, that's fine, right? We come up here, we get a change in the state. That can be your entry right there because we displaced from that 5 minute gap and this also there's a 1 minute gap right there. So you could have taken that to here, right? 3R. So yeah, price comes in, taps there. As soon as it displaced below this low like that, not crazy displacement, but I would have been broken. I would have gone break even. I would have gotten breaking even. We kept back into the change in the state, then we dropped down again. Now, this is where I'm a little unsure, right? Um, this is a lower probability trade, number one. But this big candle displacing through this low, coming from the change in the state, I thought that this leg up was just another manipulation or something. Maybe like an SMT at a lower time frame or something like that. So I entered off of that, expecting this to hold right there, and then draw was like right there. My problem was I entered too heavy on that. That is a low risk buy right there. You should not risk a lot on that. There's not a lot of places for it to react from, It's like it can still come up still, and come up back deeper into this imbalance, create an S&T or something like that, which is what we did. And do whatever from there. So it wasn't a bad loss. I just went too heavy with the risk on that. I should go lighter risk on that next time. Um, but these changes in the states from the gap, those are trades I should take. Now, we did come up. We created this SMT, right? Um, so ES is a lot more bearish than NQ. So even though the draw is clear on Nasdaq, I will take this until we hit this level on Nasdaq. That's my draw, right? We have this SMT, and we don't have a clear place for a change in the state right here, but we do have this fair value gap. And I want to see this get inverse. And we do with speed. This was another one of my entries, and this is super unfortunate. I caught this late, right? So this would have been the ideal entry on ES right here, but I caught it at this candle close, and my stop is like right there, targeting like that. I don't know if you see this, right? But this is where I went break even, right? Because I enter right here, we displaced through that low, break even, right? And we tapped it by the tick to break even me, right? If I entered where I should have entered, which is right here on this displacement, right? You look on both of these, we still have this gap on NQ, but we got SMT, we have the change in the state on both of these right here. Change in the state, right? This is more of an order block, but still. Um, Price never tapped into it because we got that inverse with speed. we're very far from it too, So no reason for it to really come back up to there. So that would have been my first entry, right? And that would have been, see where we tapped it. Yeah, that would have been a 4R trade. I think I put it a little shallower. Yeah, I put it at the top of the inverse. So 5R trade right there. Very, very unfortunate. Um, but it is what it is. Um, now so that's a perfect trade, right? SMT inside of a 5 minute fair value gap. We got displacement out of it, inversing a gap. Perfect trade right there. Clear draw. But then, right, we started chopping around a bunch. I saw ES tapped into a fair value gap. NQ didn't. NQ is a weaker pair right here. Uh, and then I saw this displacement through this low, and we're pretty close to the drawn liquidity already. So I didn't really think we needed to come back up anymore. So I took a light position. This was the right call. Light position, draw read, stops at this high, take profit down here. 1.72 R. Um, yeah. So that was a good trade. Um, Let me just go over all my trades that I took. So I did take a decent amount, and I'm honestly super happy with the trades that I took because I I've been having a problem entering trades, and now I'm starting to build up confidence pretty fast actually with these trades. So I'm just gonna put down all the possible entries I could have taken, right? So after we made this change in the state, right? I'm still not confident we're going down lower, right? Until we create and close above this low, close below this candle, right? Which creates your propulsion block. Propulsion block. I don't have one for. I'm just gonna put order block, but that could have been an entry right there. Stops above this high. Don't want to see that swept. And then, yeah. So that would have been one trade I could have taken just because I needed that extra confidence for it to drop down. Now, looking at this one, right? Which one's a weaker pair? NQ is a weaker pair. We get displacement through this low, change in the state. We know where the draw is. We know we're like, there's no possibility of us going higher right now because there's a possibility, obviously, but very low possibility of us going higher now because the draw we know is now lower. So this change in the state is perfectly fine to take your trade at. Stopped at that high, and right there. That's a break even trade. You come back in, tap into that, and get displacement. Now, you take this with light size, very, very light size, right? Um, but what am I doing? Right here. This would have been a loss. Then we get SMT, weaker pair, SMT, SMT, oh my God. Inverse for value gap. Enter off the inverse. Stops above the high. And take profit down here. Now, let's go over what I would have risked on this and what my um whole what my money should have been looking like, right? Okay. So right here, number one, I would never hold to this. I'll be honest. I would not hold to that. Look on the hour. I want to see where I would have taken profits. Okay, that's tough. Um, yeah, that's real tough actually. You know, I guess I guess I wouldn't have probably would have trailed my stop like here. Honestly, I would have gone broken even, like right here. That would have been my final TP right there. So a 3.87. That is a trade I would put. Usually I like to trade for like a draw read or something would be around 500. Less confident setup would be around 750, but then confident would be like 1,000. So this would be like a 750 trade just because I was kind of expecting maybe manipulation down here, whatever. Um, because all right, here's the thing with this trade actually. I want to analyze this a little deeper, right? Now, we came into this 1 minute, we got good rejection out of it. And this is the moment where we're not sure if we're going to come into the 5 minute gap and reject or come into it and, uh, displace through it. We didn't even come into the 5 minute right here and we rejected strongly, creating the change of state. We, um, what do we do? We respected this change of state and then we closed down again below this order block. Now, that can show one of two things that this low is going to get manipulated or that the draw is lower. Um, So what I could have done, I guess, I could have entered off of the retrace into this order block, keeping it above this in case it wants to come up to the change in the state again. And then as soon as it sweeps this low, break even, because it's always possible that we could, um, yeah, that we could just sweep that and then go back up. So that would have been that trade, and it would have worked out. Hold on, let me move back. Okay. So that's how I would probably go about that trade. The only reason why I didn't take it was because I thought it was just this, but I can still enter it, wait for that sweep, and go break even. And even though it is really close to the break even spot, if the draw is lower, it's probably not going to come there. It's probably going to displace below this low, not just sweep it. And if it does break even, so what? It's fine. I'll get a later entry. Um, this one, right? We come into a fair value gap, get a strong displacement, change in the state. Now, if we displace through this low, I would have entered off of that candle. But we instead got this change in state. We didn't displace through that low, so I was waiting for a tap into that. If it didn't tap into that and it displaced through that low, that's where my entry would be. But we came back into that, and that's where I put my limit order or something like that. Um, we went past this low. I would have gone break even, and then gotten broken even, right? Now this trade right here, that is something I would put. Um, I'd put 1,000 on that. We also inversed the fair value gap on ES, and we're coming down lower. I had to put 1,000 on this trade, but broken even doesn't matter. Now this trade, this is a draw read, 500, right? So this would be a $500 loss right here. And then we have this trade right here, which this is like so perfect. We have an SMT inside of a 5 minute fair value gap. We get this inverse with strong displacement, changing the state, all that crap. That's 1,000, and that would have been 4.44. So let me just want to calculate if I took everything how I should have taken. Obviously this first one would have been a win. I probably would have been off, but if I were to take it all, with like the correct risk management, I didn't stop after just one win. I want to calculate it real quick. So this is a win right here. That win stopping at broken even. That's 1,000. That's 750 actually. 750 times 3.76. 28K. I mean 2,800. Oh my God, broken even, and then minus 500 for that loss, right? We're at total revenue 2,300, and then this one, so 1,000 times 4.44. So we have 2,320, right? 4.44 times 1,000 plus 2,320. Should have been up that much. So should not have been a break even day. Should have definitely been up a lot. But now I know explicitly because this was like a textbook continuation day kind of. Obviously, not everything was perfectly textbook, but this is as perfect as it's gonna get probably. You want to wait for a tap. Doesn't need to be a 5 minute. A 5 minute would definitely be more confidence, but if it struggles to go below that, we get like a change in the state or something like that, then that's an entry. We get an inverse fair value gap, that is an entry. And if we get a close below a low or something like that, we need to keep in mind that it is lower probability, but you can take it with lower risk, depending on, how confident you are. But yeah, that's it for today. Honestly, I don't think my psychology is messed up whatsoever. Um, Was I pissed that it was not a green day? Yes. Um, but I should be pissed, because it was pretty obvious setups that I should have taken. Um, Key points for me. I need to spend more time. I know this sounds like opposite of what people need to do, but I need to spend more time on the 1 minute time frame to see where we're reacting on the 1 minute. Because I'm missing these 1 minute taps that we're getting and then getting displacement and missing those entries because I'm waiting for a 5 minute. You don't necessarily need a 5 minute gap to be tapped into. It is a better if it does, but I don't need it to happen. I need to understand that. So I need to stop staying on the 5 minute time frame. Um, that's number one. Number two, entry models. Tap into a gap, change in the state, retap. That's an entry model. You want to see displacement with the change in the state. You don't want to see like some shitty ass close. You want to see displacement with a change in the state, or displacement with a inverse for value gap. There'll probably also be a change in the state, but inverse for value gap, right? Um, and I'm okay with taking propulsion blocks. I've been looking at it for a while now. I know kind of when they should hold. So actually, the majority of the time I do know when they're going to hold. I just haven't entered on them because I just never been 100% confident because not a lot of people take those entries. Um, and I'm right the majority of the time. So like even though I was wrong one time, right? I I would have been up over 6K today just from that. Even though I was wrong that one time, I was right about everything else. And I usually am right about what I'm doing. It's just the confidence of entering and where to enter. So change in state with displacement with an inverse for value gap, displacement below a low where the draw is clear, light size, draw read. Those those things are my main focuses for tomorrow, going into tomorrow. We'll see what we get. Tomorrow is NFP, so you know, but yeah, I have a very clear understanding on what I'm looking for the reactions out of the gap. I was just thinking displacement, and that really wasn't enough for me to visualize. But now I think I truly understand what I will be taking in the future.